What's up YouTube, Core51 here, time for another video, and it's gonna be for, you guessed it, Fire Emblem, this new one that still doesn't have a title yet. It's still a working title here in the West, but in Japan it's actually Fire Emblem If. The If carries a significant meaning, especially in regards to just, you know, you would choose two sides, and it's already been confirmed that this game will have two separate versions in Japan. So if you wanted to go for, as you'll see in the trailer, you can pick two factions, the Hoshido or the Nor, and the two games reflect that. Of course, that doesn't mean that because you buy one copy, you have to buy the other. You can just buy the second unique story from the other game that you didn't buy as DLC. So technically, you only need to buy one, and you're good to go. You can play the entire game. As all the reports that I've been hearing is that there's going to be a third physical edition, which has all of the content in one cartridge, as well as a third unannounced story or faction, at least, which I'm already speculating, and it just seems to be a neutral sort of path. I've mentioned it in another a lot of past videos that they might be taking a lot of elements from SMT, where you can choose two factions, whether it be law or chaos, and a neutral path, which is deny both of them and forge your own path. That's what I have as a theory working in towards this. But as you all are, we're here to analyze the trailer, and let's get straight into it. I'll be commentating as we go along. Hopefully there's a lot of things because I can notice. Okay, so from the looks of our first scene, this seems like the first place that the main character, who we know for in Japanese, the Japanese audience is called Kamui. Now, the reason why it's called the reason why he or she is called Kamui is because the kanji apparently is very interchangeable with both genders, so that's why they chose it. I mean, they didn't call them. I'm not 100% sure if they call him Rob, the main character from Awakening, Robin. I think they did. I'm not 100% sure, but I think they did in Japanese at least. But Kamui, you know, I think it's a nice name. So she's singing the same theme that she did in the previous trailer when she was dancing, which dancing to what seemed to look like a lord of some kind. Now we know it's most likely a lord from the Nor Empire, just because of the Western influences, especially with Italy. I think we established in the last video that this sort of Fire Emblem Nor Empire kind of takes a lot of elements from Italy, especially with the Mouth of Truth and all of these cultural sort of things. I think in one of the scenes from the old trailers is there was a lot of boats and stuff like that. The boats that are very typical with I think the Italian I haven't been to Italy, so I don't know for sure, but it's definitely I can't remember what it's called, but they love, like, I think it was like the canals or something. I'm not 100% sure on that. Please don't hate me for if I don't know about worldwide culture, but as I can definitely say that there is elements of Italian sort of background in this Nor Empire. It's definitely not based off German or anything like that. It's definitely not an evil empire like that again, but it's definitely Italy because of the giant monster that was in the last trailer, which was the Word of Mouth, which is in Italy. So she's singing the same song that she did in the first. As we can see, her clothes are actually kind of white, so I think this is as you can see in the later during the trailer, her clothes actually change color, or she changes her outfit according to what faction or what group you actually join. So this looks like it's this scene right here is before the decision that you make to join either side, because I've already from the direct that we saw, hopefully, like from the Nintendo Direct that was on April Fool's Day, it was actually April 2nd in Japan and April 2nd for Australia, so it's not too bad. What we can tell, what Iwata said that your main character now, which if you compare it to Awakening, Awakening's main, like, your character, your avatar was really a side character to Crom's and Lucina's story. But in this case, it's been switched now. Your avatar is now the main protagonist of the story, and everything revolves around him. So this character we're seeing here, which I think fans have dubbed her the Dancing Lady. I don't know her name yet. I don't read Japanese. I don't know. I could go by reports, but I haven't got any reports that really suggest that her name yet. She seems to be fitting the role of Robin from Awakening, in which she will follow the main protagonist throughout the entire journey. She's always the constant party member that will be with you the entire time. So I think it's interesting that I think this, like, speculation wise, I think this is the first scene that you actually meet this Dancing Lady character as the main protagonist, because it seems like it just seems that way. She looks at the camera, we don't see anything. Fire Emblem still doesn't have a working title yet, which is fine. Now we finally get to see what appears to be, okay, so if you guys have played Awakening, these armors look very similar to the ones which were in the cutscene with when Lucina was in the future being attacked by Grima's army. It's has that same sort of motif as well. So I'm gonna rewind a bit. We see Mark's. His name is the kind of like in essence, this game has two factions and two lead characters that are pretty much the star of those factions. Like if you think of you know, like in Awakening, you had Crom. This is like the Crom of the North side, and the as we'll see, there's another character that's coming up is called Ryoma, is the Crom of the Hoshido side. So we see Marks now, and he's obviously giving an order to a giant army that's about to face off. So this is the Nor army fighting off against the Hoshido army. Which is, you can see in the distance. You can see in the distance right here, and this looks like a large-scale battle. You see Ryoma, who is the kind of the main terrorist. He has a lightning. It doesn't look like a Levin sword. If you know from Awakening, a Levin sword is a sword that's like kind of like a lightning bolt, zigzaggy, but it has properties of thunder. But from the looks of things, this looks like a killing edge with lightning properties on it. So I don't know if that's a unique Roma weapon or something that the main character can get. We don't know yet. But as you can see, Marx is you can see from Marx's sword that it has elements of darkness, which is pretty cool. Two kingdoms at the crossroads of war and peace. So just from that line alone, we know that these two kingdoms are they have different ideologies. They they don't agree with each other in essence. And as we see, like with Marx, and two diverging paths that will shape the kingdom's fate. So they're fighting over this one kingdom or area that is occupied by two. I mean, we see here the peace, the peace-loving Hoshido is very Eastern inspired, very Japanese. From the looks of this image, they still believe in like the spirits and stuff like that. They worship the dragon. I assume they worship the Menkata people who in previous Fire Emblem games they were the ones who could transform into dragons. So maybe they worship those people as like a symbol of their hope and stuff like that. Of course, it's the peace-loving Hoshido. Their ideology is probably not to cause trouble, always like not really be nice, but not to just cause trouble. It just seems to be like a waste or stuff like that. And we get to see our first glimpse of, most likely is the what's her name in Fire Emblem Awakening. I don't have 100% a lot of information. Like I don't remember 100% of everything of her name's Emerin or something. She was the kind of the queen of Elysia or something. Elsian or something, Chrom's sister, Chrom's older sister. This is probably the equivalent of that for the Hoshidos, where she's probably the kind of like the matriarch character that knows, that is pretty much just the leader of this faction. And then as we see, the glory seeking. So I assume that the Nor faction, just wants to conquer the world, whether it's just through their they want control over everything, which is like in some cases that's understandable. They want to control everything, and they see this these group of people as just undignified. They're not being controlled. They're very free, and like it discusses the Nor, and we see the equivalent of the ruler. We don't know the name yet, but he's clear. Like he is the equivalent of that. I think for Fire Emblem Awakening, I'm going to be mentioning Fire Emblem Awakening a lot because it's pretty much the last Fire Emblem game I played. Also, one game of my year for, I think it was 2013. Oh man, or 2014. It was 2013 or 2014. Either of those, whenever it came out, then that was game of the year for me. But we definitely see a new character. He seems very evil, very controlling. You can tell from his mannerisms that he just wants to grab things and just like rule with an iron fist. So that's pretty cool. So we're back to this. We get to see some real gameplay now. I can't translate that because I don't know Japanese, unfortunately. But we get to see a gameplay representation of what was that opening scene that we saw in a beautifully made cutscene, and it just seems like a sort of introduction sort of scene, like, oh, I've met you for the first time and stuff. So this is our first sort of twist onto the background of the character we're about to embody, the Avatar. A child born to the Hoshido royal family, raised by Nor royalty. Just from those lines alone, we can already tell that this is a very complicated situation. He is probably the last heir to the Hoshido royal family, and they need him back, obviously, or need us back. But we were actually raised and grew up with the Nor royalty, so it does make a good justification of the split path system and like why we should care, because for us, we would always have to ask ourselves, because during the last direct, Mr. Iwata himself said that we would have to make a very hard decision, and I assume that's what he meant by those hard decisions. We have to make it so. They have to make it so it's, do we trust family, or do we trust our blood, our destiny, or do we trust our loyalty to one's family who isn't our family? So it's a really cool thing. We get this. Okay, so as we can see, we see gameplay. We saw little snippets of gameplay. I'm gonna see if there's anything in them. We get to see the two characters. As you can tell, there's feet now. Obviously, they fixed something that was, honestly, didn't really need to be fixed, but it's nice of them to do that. There's a lot of detail in the armor sets, which are really cool. I really enjoy good armor sets. It's like a good sort of thing. Mark seems to be sort of like your father figure who just like always looks out for you. She seems to be like the older sister sort of type of character, who she seems to be like kind of taking care of you, very matriarch, not like very sort of like lovingly and stuff like. And you get your little sister who is a cute lolly with dual hair, and she represents sort of like your innocence as well, because like she sees you as a big brother that just, you know, always there for her. So there's that. And then you get the Hoshido side, who is your forgotten Hoshido kin. These are your actual blood relatives. So it really does paint a complex sort of storyline in which who do you trust? The people who cared for you when you were born and probably got kidnapped from the Nor Empire, but then you grew to love them. A very Stockholm sort of syndrome sort of situation where you have to trust the people who could potentially kill you, but then they start liking you, they start trusting you, and then you become part of them. Or these people or your forgotten family, and you have two families. You got to pick loyalty between one that you miss, one that you trust now. It's a very complex situation, which I find really interesting, especially in a story that's like in a Fire Emblem game. You would never expect this sort of thing. This is a character that was in the last trailer called Honoka. I think his name is Honoka, and she's a Pegasus rider. She or he? I don't know if it's a he or she, but it looks like a she, because I don't think a he would wear a skirt like that unless, or I guess it's Fire Emblem, could be anything, but it looks like a she. And this looks like your sister, I think. Whose side will you choose? Which path will you take? So, from reports that I've read, essentially the game, because in Japan it's going to come out in 2 physical copies. The game itself will be the same until chapter 6. Now this is a actual officially released part of information from Nintendo, Intelligent Systems themselves and Nintendo, to really because they have to tell the consumers at which point does the path actually split to justify putting out 2 games like this. And from what we can tell, chapter 6, from what the reports say, chapter 6 is the pivotal moment where the paths switch, where you have to make that choice. And this scene coming up right here, with the 2 families, because it's all in first person, they are talking directly to you. Like, they're asking you the question, do you come with us? Like, come with us, right? Because you have to pick a side. You have to pick either loyalty or blood family, right? And this scene right here is definitely the scene that happens in chapter 6, which is reported from Nintendo. So that means that anything that besides, at any point in future, I think in future videos or future trailers that we see the dancing lady not wearing either the blue or the black dress, means it's pre-chapter 6, because she hasn't joined up. You haven't made that choice yet to become to go with the Hoshido or going with the Nor. The thing is, in the game itself, whichever ones you pick, because you have to pick either the Nor or the Hoshido. If you buy physical Japanese, you are locked into one right from your purchase. But for the digital copy, it's pretty much just telling you, if you want to play the game again and want to know the point in which you have to choose, I'm sure because of the third release version, there's going to be a choice where you can make which changes which path you do. But for now, the physical release just pretty much means in Japan they will be locked into one choice. So in this scene, it will always play out to according which version they buy. But for us in the West, it will most likely be a choice we make that decides which side we go on. As we can see a portrait of every character that's major to the plot on each side. You can only choose one path. This is most likely depending on which version you buy. And this scene following up is probably the aftermath of your choice. Like, you chose, so that scene right here. Yep, so this is the aftermath. So they've really upped the battle system in this. Like, it looks so, like, the transitions are so much more cool. Man, that's a long arm, but okay, that's just nitpicky. Alright, so this is our first sort of, like, this is in the first trailer, right? We saw the first trailer, and in the first trailer that we saw, she was wearing a black dress, but in this case we're seeing her in a white dress. Also, is it pagodas? No, I don't know if it's pagodas. I don't know the actual term for it, but it's something you see in Italy or in that sort of European area with in the canals and stuff like that. But like we can see here, her dress is white. So assuming that if you made your choice at chapter 6 to go with the Hoshido, she would wear a white dress to coincide with the with peace. You know, I think white is a very universal sort of color for peace. And then you see it switch to black, which is what we saw during the trailer. And I think black is a very it's black or like a dark color, right? It's dark blue, purpley. It's very melodramatic. It's very kind of gloomy. I think gloomy is the right word for it. Kind of represents the ongoing just conflict of like she's wearing a thing to cover her face, kind of something like you would wear like I would say like a funeral or something. It just seems really ominous compared to that. All right, so we get our first sort of extra little tidbits of gameplay. We saw a lot of gameplay in the last trailer, but like in this one there's a lot of new things that have been added. I think if you pick the Hoshido side, you get a new class called it's clearly a ninja. I mean, look at him, he disappears and he reappears and he hits. What's the other character holding? It looks like a stick or some kind, or a flute, versing against a bunch of an archer and a cavalry rider. That's pretty cool. Ninja. Okay, so this is a cool thing. We can clearly see that there's no path here, and Kamui activates a key and it forms a path to it. This means that the environment can change at any point, or you can make the environment change, which adds a lot of strategic elements to it, because like you can add flanking points and stuff like that. I think that's a really interesting thing. Now this thing coming up here is the one that's been making the rounds on a few Fire Emblem sort of forums, is the fact that Kamui can transform into what looks like a dragon slash hybrid of a four-legged beast and maybe a centaur or something, I don't know. But what does that mean? Well, this could be the first game in which the avatar can transform into a beast. I mean, we know from like Awakening, the only ones who could really transform were the dragons, like Tiki and Na, and then there was the other ones, the oversized warrior hamsters. Can't remember his name. I can't remember her name or his name, but they were pretty cool. But like they were the ones because they had the beast stones. I mean, maybe Kamui has dragon blood in him because of the royal family. Maybe he has some sort of like connection with these higher beasts, and maybe that's why he can transform. We don't know, but it's definitely speculation, which I really think I'm interested in. It's definitely a really cool thing. Okay, we see Honoka on the. It says the path of Hoshido. We see what looks like Jin Kisaragi from BlazBlue. No, it's definitely this looks like a scene that's probably taking place in one of the cities. Looks like the Western city, where maybe it was like an assassination or a assault on the city themselves, and like he's just taking the shot against killing someone. The path of no. Okay, let's get the pervertiveness out of the way. Yes, those are big boobs, but what I'm curious at is the behind the scenes, behind the background. There's castles, so castles are confirmed. Maybe that's a fort, and this is just a cutscene that's sort of replacing that. Why would you have a strap that goes in between your cleavage? Japan, I guess. But the path of Dawn pretty much says maybe they learn things through dark magic and stuff like that, while the others know about like spirit magic and stuff like that. I don't know, but definitely the dark mages are definitely on the North side. This is the second character that's sort of like just kind of there. He's like the equivalent of the Jin Kisaragi from the Hoshido, so whatever. He's a dark mage, I guess. You see Mark's doing... Okay, so I froze on a weird spot. Mark's about to hit off. You see... Yep. See, like, this is more evident of that switch. It just goes flashes. And that's just your choice that you make changes her outfit to better represent her, maybe her character or something that way. It goes into her eye. And then you see the two factions, Hoshido and Nor. And then Fire Emblem. We still don't know. We don't have a name for it yet. So for now, it's Fire Emblem 2016 for the West, Fire Emblem 2015 for Japan. And I really hope we get some more details. Not too much story details. I like to enjoy the story myself. But let's just get a sort of like a final word on this trailer. I think it's a well-made trailer. I think there's a lot of information in here, just enough to really set up the tone and the story. Like, just enough. Like, the tone itself is definitely okay. So if you were wondering what I mean by like her clothes here are much more fuller. She's got more like fabric here and here and here and here. You can't see my legs, sorry, but like she has her figure is a lot, not her body figure, oh my god, I mean her clothes are much more like there's more fabric to them, there's a lot more layers to them, as opposed to the other one which looked more like the dancer class. So that's why I mean this looks like it's pre-chapter 6, like it's before the final decision you make before it goes into a different path. It makes sense, right? You have to know these characters before you make that decision. So I assume that you bounce in between during the chapter 6s to learning about both paths, and they're trying to convince you to join theirs, right? That's what I see. As opposed to the two ideologies between the two kingdoms, we don't know enough yet, but we know enough that Nor hates Hoshido, like just absolutely hates them, and Hoshido is just trying to live peaceful lives. They're very like I don't know if they're nomadic people or they're just people who just like don't really see the pretty much the outside world as a threat. They just want to care for their own. It definitely is interesting that the way that they take on the family aspect, where you have to choose your blood, you have to choose between two things which are still considered family, but they are both very different. That's a really interesting take on a story. It makes it interesting. It makes you want to know both sides. I mean, did they help in trying to get you back? Did they even try to get you back? Were there times where they just quit and they decided no? But that's the answers that we want. That's the answers that are going to push us. They want to know what happened in that time frame in which we were raised by the Nor. So anyway, guys, I think I've talked a lot about this game. I can't wait for the next trailer. I think there's going to be just a little bit of tidbits more. I would love a lot more English translated stuff. Just to know that it's coming, you know. Right now, it's going to be complete for Japan. I don't see why they're holding out for a 2016 release when they can easily squish it into the end of the year. Like, I don't see why, you know. It seems to be done. It seems to be complete, unless they're waiting for this third scenario, which is going to be released end of the year, and have the complete version for next year. I guess that makes sense as well, but for now, it kind of makes sense why it's being released in Japan a little bit early, because they've only completed 2/3 of the game. They still have the last third of the game, which is still incomplete, which they're probably going to be working on, since that's going to be extra downloadable content for people who purchased the original version, and for people who want to buy the re-release, so they're reselling it twice. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I analyzed as much as I could from all the reports I've got. So again, leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and keep an eye out for more videos. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Comment below what you guys thought of this trailer. I think it's awesome. I think there's a lot of like cool stuff in here, and I love Fire Emblem. I really do. Hey, Faja for life, bros. Dudes, dudettes. You get what I mean. Anyway, Core 51 out. Have a nice day.